The end of the first week of War of the Spark previews has finally come. In case you've missed any of our preview coverage up to this point, you can click the first link in the description to catch up on everything. In this video, oh boy, do we have some power players. I do hope you keep enjoying our War of the Spark preview coverage, and if you do, remember to hit that like button right below the video, helps out a lot. Let's do this thing. Grateful Apparition is 2 mana for a 1/1 spirit with flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, proliferate? Oh baby, this is what I'm talking about. This is a less infected thrumming bird and I'm 100% on board. It triggers on damage to a player or walker, which is sweet. It has flying, so evasion's taken care of, and it drops early. This is the perfect card for a deck utilizing lots of +1/+1 counters or planeswalker loyalty counters. Even if we aren't looking at this for limited, in Commander, Atraxa would love another proliferate engine. Why not? In a multiplayer game, there's usually someone who can't block a flyer, just saying. Grateful Apparition is a commander inclusion, easy peasy, no problem. Makeshift Battalion is 3 mana for a 3/2 human soldier. Whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, put a +1/+1 counter on the battalion. Hilariously, this card has Battalion, a mechanic that was used in Gatecrash the last time we visited Ravnica. That's pretty cool. I wanted to point this card out because if Battalion does exist, even on a single card, that means that the Boros game plan in Limited is going to be as it's always been, go wide, go fast. Something to keep in mind. Tomik, Distinguished Advokist is 2 white mana for a 2/3 legendary creature human advisor with flying. Lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities your opponents control. Your opponents can't play land cards from graveyards. Well, isn't this just the worst nightmare ever for anyone in the world wanting to play Life from the Loam? As someone who hates that card, I find Tomik to be just delightful, ruining the days of land recursion players everywhere. I mean, someone in R&D really hates legacy lands a lot. Easy include in the sideboard of a Hate Bear's deck. The thing is, where I really think this could see annoying play, Commander. Lord Windgrace just came out recently. The Gitrog monster and Titania are both pretty popular. In a human's deck, or really anything that can utilize Hate Bears or small white creatures, Tomik's really annoying. A toolbox deck perhaps, Captain Sisay maybe. Look, my point is that Tomik shuts off basically all land recursion. He's a huge wet blanket for anyone trying to do that, and besides just removing him, there aren't many effective ways to play around his stifling ability. What a boss! Rescuer Sphinx is 2 of anything and 2 blue for a 3/2 Sphinx with flying. As it enters the battlefield, you may return a non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, the Sphinx enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. Whoa! This is a great card for Limited. 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer is actually serviceable straight away, but that is a sweet trigger. Getting to unsummon any of your non-land permanents means that you can unsummon a planeswalker that can only tick down, you can unsummon a creature that amasses when it enters the battlefield. Plenty of ways to gain value here. If you find yourself drafting the Sphinx, put a slightly higher priority on cards that either enter the battlefield and do something, or uncommon planeswalkers that can use the reset effectively. Massacre Girl, amazing name, is 3 of anything and 2 black for a 4/4 legendary creature human assassin with menace. When Massacre Girl, again, great name, enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn. I can't even. This card's awesome. Probably my favorite card in the set, easily, no question. Massacre Girl is both hilarious and powerful, essentially board wiping any token deck all the way up to Venerated Loxodon. It's so many triggers. Each creature that dies, boom, -1/-1 to everything else. Gets around hexproof and indestructible. I honestly can't talk this card up enough. This is a 5 mana board wipe for a lot of decks that leaves behind a 4/4 with menace. I'm absolutely going to try playing her in various decks, probably out of the sideboard, but suffice it to say, love her. And her name is Massacre Girl. She's a legendary creature with the name Massacre Girl. I can't even right now. Band Together is 3 mana for an instant. Up to 2 target creatures you control each deal damage equal to their power to another target creature. Oh my. This is an amazing green removal spell. Wow, it doesn't even force the creatures to fight. It's instant speed, and it lets you gang up on a bigger creature. This is incredible flexibility out of green, which is something we definitely don't see too often. Seriously, this is a great common. Look out for this in Sealed and Draft. It is 100% playable and very good. I'm actually surprised this card exists at common and instant speed. Seriously, wow. Bloomhawk is 4 mana for a 4/4 plant elemental. When it enters the battlefield, proliferate. I was waiting for us to get cards like this. Proliferating as an enter the battlefield trigger is something this set was bound to do eventually, and this adds a lot of value to cards like this in Limited. Being a 4 mana 4/4 is already fine, that's decent as a filler card, but then giving it a trigger upside of being able to pump creature counters or walker loyalty counters, that's great. Bloomhawk changes from being a decent filler to being an actively good card in the right deck. These are the kinds of effects you'll need to look out for in this upcoming Limited format. Getting a few counters from the Bloomhawk could mean the game. Pollen Bright Druid is 2 mana for a 1/1 elf druid. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. Either put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or proliferate. Love this design. It's an early drop if you need it, can make itself a 2/2 worst case scenario, but it has value throughout the game. Proliferate can be useful early or late, and if you can proliferate, at least you get a counter out of it. It's a flexible card. Pretty good for a common at 2 mana. I really like where green is going in this set as far as commons are concerned. Ward Scale Crocodile is 5 mana for a 5/3 crocodile with hexproof. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking about this. It's just a 5/3 for 5. Oh wait, it isn't. It has hexproof. For anyone who knows me or knows Limited, you know that hexproof is a nightmare to play against. It turns off basically all non-sacrifice or board wipe removal. True annoyance. It won't be first picked in draft or anything, but it'll be a fine filler. Hexproof literally carries this card to pseudo playability. I hate that mechanic in Limited. Just ugh. Mayhem Devil is one of anything 1 black and 1 red for a 3/3 devil. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, the devil deals 1 damage to any target. That is some serious flexibility. Letting you deal damage to whatever you want, that's very Judith, which is where this card could absolutely go. If we're trying to build Mardu or red-black aggro with Judas or Priests of Forgotten Gods again, this works there. It also synergizes really well with Fireblade Artist, turning 2 damage into a bolt's worth of damage. I enjoy Mayhem Devil, turns on Spectacle, applies pressure, pretty nice for more Rakdos sacrifice shenanigans. Merfolk Skydiver is 1 green and 1 blue for a 1/1 Merfolk mutant with flying. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. You can also pay 5 mana and proliferate. Again, another card for Commander. You can basically look at this card as a 2 mana enchantment, to be honest. That's all it's gonna be. A proliferate factory that will draw so much removal it'll make your head spin. I'd love to see something like this in standard Merfolk because it does come with evasion and it puts a +1/+1 counter on Benthic Biomancer straight away, but the 2-drop slot of that deck is pretty full. Proliferating counters added by Kumena is nice though. I'll do some testing and we'll see. Regardless, Merfolk Skydiver is on the train straight to Commander. Proliferate Town, attracts it, gets another one. Neoform is 1 green and 1 blue for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, then shuffle your library. As has been pointed out already, Llanowar Elves turn 1, then Neoform it, looking for Incubation Druid, get a counter on it, boom, bunch of mana on turn 3. That's a lot of ramp very early. I can see a card like this in a blue-green ramp or creature-based deck that's looking to take advantage of an early game Hydroid Krasis or Biogenic Ooze. I actually really like this card for standard. It's like Eldritch Evolution, but more affordable / better in the meta that it's in. 10th District Legionnaire is 1 red and 1 white for a 2/2 human soldier with haste. Whenever you cast a spell that targets the Legionnaire, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then scry 1. Whoa, okay, this is heroic. First we had Battalion, and now we have heroic. Straight from Theros block, heroic was actually standard playable, essentially becoming a Voltron type deck. While it isn't technically a mechanic in this set, you can't ignore the value of the Legionnaire's ability, getting bigger with each cast on her and letting you scry 1 in the process, something that this color combination doesn't get to do reliably. In a Boros aggro deck, hitting this human soldier with a couple pub spells lets you scry a bunch, makes it gigantic, and since it has haste, you're presenting a powerful threat straight away. Obviously limited playable, but I can 100% see this in standard in the right Boros aggro deck that uses more combat tricks than you normally see. I actually like this card a lot. Mobilized District is a non-basic land card you can tap to add 1 colorless. You can also pay 4 mana, and it becomes a 3/3 citizen creature with vigilance until end of turn. It's still a land. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature and planeswalker you control. Flavor text quote. Sometimes the strongest weapon you can hold in your hand is another hand. My goodness, wow, okay. So this card is powerful in a few different ways. First, emotionally, my goodness. That's Bolas' Citadel in the distance, and the citizens are rising up together to fight it, and they become more courageous this, the more walkers or legendary creatures there are on the battlefield that you control. It's so flavorful and so human. In this set of superhuman powers and crazy fantasy, Mobilized District is a grounding force, reminding all of us that most of Ravnica is populated by people whose homes being destroyed. This card is too real for me, jeez. Even the commons in this set are turning out great. We covered a lot today, so I gotta know where you're at. What do you think about the new Anti-Land Boy? How about the Proliferate Merfolk Friend, Neoform, Mayhem Devil? I gotta know where you're at, so please leave me some comments down below and we'll chat about how freaking ridiculous this set is. I'm super pumped about it. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel for the latest and most reliable War of the Spark preview information you could ever need. And as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. War of the Spark booster boxes are available for pre-order literally right this second on TCG Player for only $97 each, way cheaper than a lot of other online retailers. If you don't have a local game store or yours is charging way too much, I got you back right here. Click the link on the screen, get boxes delivered right to your door on release, and it'll help the channel out a ton. And oh boy, you're not ready for this. And if you click the link right now, I'll send you a new car, a Ferrari. Free Ferraris for the first 2,600 people who click the link. Don't look at the screen. Don't listen to what it's saying. It's lying. Trust me. Click the link. You'll totally get a free Ferrari. Yep, definitely. Yep, totally. Enjoy.